What's up, guys? Hey, it's Friday. Oh, thank God it's Friday. Another long week is over. We are heading into the weekend, a beautiful weekend, Memorial Day weekend. So I hope you guys get out there, have some fun, cook some fucking hamburgers, drink some beers. But in the end, I just hope that are safe and have a great fucking time. But until that point, let's have some more fun.
There's a system in place to keep us in chains. By show of hands, who else is sick and tired of the same? 1% trying to keep us small, trying to keep us from getting out. Minimizing the struggles they've caused, saying we're not working hard enough.
We really should stop this fighting. Otherwise, we'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go.
And welcome everybody to Suck It. I am the great and powerful King of Kings, Prince of all that is awesome. Derek, how are you today on this Friday, May 28th of the year that is 2021? Woo! Again, Memorial Day is coming upon us on Monday. The 1st of June is Tuesday. You know, shit is just going fucking gnarly. I can't believe it's fucking halfway through the year already. This is just fucking insane. We're closing out on Mental Health Month, you know, which we've done a great job with talking to a bunch of bands about that, but we're getting ready to lead into, you know, LGBTQ Pride Month. You know, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with that. We're going to be doing stuff with the Trevor Project. We're going to be doing stuff with the LGBTQ Task Force, the Human Rights Campaign. We're going to be doing a bunch of shit with that because there's so much of that stuff going on in the world, and we got to maintain the focus on it, especially with all these fucking places like Texas and Florida and Mississippi and the Dakotas all putting out transgender bills. We got to stop that shit. So hopefully we can make a little bit of noise with the bands that we got coming on here. But you know what? That's then. This is now, because today I have a band that just released a new single, and it is fucking gnarly. Out of Portland, Maine. You know, it's rare that I find a band like this that I am like super stoked about. They're big band yet ska and horn driven, and it's amazing stuff. So you know what? Let's just cut the shit and let's get right to it with Kris Rodgers from Kris Rodgers and the Dirty Gems.
Have me.
Hey, dude, how's it going?
It's going great. I heard you talking about the nice weather and everything, and it's killer weather where I am in Portland, so I can't complain. I got like seagulls squawking around me and everything.
Well, I mean, down here in DC, it's fucking hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice,
Yeah.
but it's hot.
We're not quite there yet. It was pretty humid yesterday, but I mean, you know, we're so close to Canada and we're on the ocean and stuff, so the cool air kind of like it's got to be like 60 something degrees here right now, so it's pretty comfortable.
Yeah, it's 60. Shit, it's like 85.
Oh, I'd be losing my mind.
Okay, I need to move to Maine. Holy crap.
Yeah, yeah, it can get kind of like humid and muggy here too, but
Yeah.
you know, for the most part, it's kind of, you know, a little bit cooler and all that.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty wicked hot yesterday. I mean, we had some storms roll through, and it became really, really humid yesterday too. I mean, it's been pretty bad all week, but yesterday was probably the worst of it. So
You're just sitting around sweating, you know.
Yep.
Rough.
See, it's days like today where I get to sit inside my my studio, my basement, and record 6 or 7 podcasts and just enjoy the AC unit right above my head and just enjoy the coolness.
Yeah, I'm into that for sure. I can get down with that.
But, you know, then in a couple hours, I'm going to be outside grilling in the hot-ass sun and drinking beer and, you know, hydrating the wrong way. But you know what?
Right.
That's the only way to fucking do it. You got to grill with beer.
Yeah, something about an ice cold beer on hot days, especially if you're grilling and you're in the heat. You can see like, the things coming up off the grill. All the images are sizzling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just kind of a true indicator of how hot it really is. So how's everything going, man? The new track is pretty fucking gnarly. I was listening to it today, and I was just like, I didn't know what to expect. I know of you guys. I've heard some of the other stuff, and it's like, this is kind of um, interesting. So it's like, okay, um, yeah, and like I said, it has a big band horn feel, kind of like your Mighty Mighty Boss Stones, but at the same time, it also has a ska feel. It feels like 50s big band, but at the same time it's not, and it's fresh, it's different, it's original. So I really kind of like it. So what exactly, what's the idea behind this project here?
Yeah, I love that you like catch all that stuff. I'm a piano player, so for me, I kind of go back like to a lot of like Ray Charles stuff and Stevie Wonder. And that's where like the basic, I guess, inspiration for that stuff comes from. But I play in a town that has a ton of horn players and a ton of, people like one of the Rustic Overtones horn players plays on this track. And that's Jamie Colpoys, and then Brian Desmond Graham plays on it too, and he plays with like Sister Sparrow and the Dirty Birds, or used to, and plays with a bunch of cool big bands up here and stuff. So I actually just asked those guys to arrange horn parts for all the tracks, and they just killed it. And they've got so much experience doing all that kind of stuff. And I think that really just comes from all the people in the band's separate influences kind of coming together to make this weird like smorgasbord of a track.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like I said, it's pretty gnarly. It's definitely a fun summertime track, and I hate using that term because it's so
Yeah.
overused and so overplayed. I said it last week with another band I was talking to, who had another fun summertime track. But I mean, when you're talking about that with rock, I mean, even big band rock, I mean, it's so cliche because pop music uses it all the time. So I don't really like
Totally.
using it, but at the same time, it definitely feels like something that you would just rock out to sitting on the beach while drinking a White Claw.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I picture like driving along the beach with the windows down, that kind of thing, cranking it.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I also picture swing dancing and girls in poodle skirts, and
Yeah.
what's his Ben Folds up on stage, kind of doing
Yeah.
the big guitar and the zoot suit and all that other shit. It's that's kind of how there's a lot of different things I got going through my head when I hear this song too.
Yeah, it's yeah, for me, and I usually am engineering in the studio for the tracks and everything too. I just have like I guess it's a philosophy. I haven't really thought much about it, but I guess you could call it that, where I don't really tell anybody what to play so much. Oh, there's a tune in my cat. And in the process of just letting everybody do what they do, everything comes out to be this like different, fresh thing. I think, anyways. That's the hope. And like I played the piano parts, and after that, I didn't have much of a say in what was going on, on the rest of the tracks. And all the other guys just bring, we're all kind of experienced musicians and stuff, and they bring all this experience to all the tracks that they do. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been talking to a lot of bands about recently. Is that you know is that exact thing? The fact that nowadays, especially with indie bands and smaller artists on indie labels and yada yada yada, the fact that it's not just a frontman driven band, or it's not just a frontman driven project where he says, okay, this is how we're going to do it. You might come up with that riff, but everything else is mine, or whatever. However, but with guys like you and everybody else that I've been talking to lately, it's been more about the band as a whole. Like I talked to a band out of
Yeah.
Georgia the other day that's getting ready to release an album where literally every single song is written by a different member of the band. Because and they called it little black boxes because, you know, everybody's in their own little black box and everybody deals with things differently. And I'm like, that's a fucking cool ass concept for a record. You know, that's pretty badass. And I've talked to a bunch of bands that are doing that exact same thing. And I really like hearing that because far too often, especially nowadays, when you hear things like, you know, the stuff that goes on with the Swedish band Ghost, where, you know, it's just him as the corporation and he just hires a bunch of hired guns. And, you know, I don't like that, but I get it. You know, it's just like, but I like the fact about when a band is a true band.
Yeah, and I feel like it might have been. It seemed like it was a trend for a little while, like 10 years ago or so, and that for like a front man of a band to kind of do everything and just hire people around. And I did that myself too. And even the guys in the band that were consistent would still just, would be like in the studio, it'd be almost like they'd be session guys kind of, you know, where like I would sort of really dictate a lot of it and have everything fleshed out really beforehand, and which is cool and it works, but it's a lot of stress and it really isn't as fun as like creating with other people. And yeah, like this record for us, I mean, I wrote a few of the songs myself, but like one of the songs the guitar player brought, and like we had a single that came out last year, She Likes to Party. Our bass player Ryan wrote most of that. It's more of like a Beatles almost approach, I guess, where like we're all kind of bringing separate ideas and then helping each other out to finish everything. And the one thing, the record is alive. I think that's a huge aspect that none of my records anyways had before. This one just feels like a living, breathing thing. And yeah, just that, you know, you can hear everybody's influence in it, and it's really like a sum of the parts sort of thing, you know. Like I think that we made great records before, but this one is just like way better, because everybody's putting their own spice on it, you know.
And that's what it takes sometimes, because again, you know, if you're one track minded, you know, like this is my band and they're, you know, whatever, you know, it takes away a lot. It takes away from them as well. You know, I mean, like I said, I mean, anyone knows. I mean, as far as like in the rock scene, remembers that whole debacle from a few years ago. Like I said, we're talking about with Ghost, you know, them suing him, and then, you know, then him getting a new band, and he was like, "Fuck you guys, we're done." And then something similar happened like that a long time ago with Breaking Benjamin. You know, like they broke up, and he got a whole new band, and then they tried to put out a, you know, this or that, and it was just, I don't like that. I mean, and because it takes away that whole, if you're gonna be a band, you know, be a fucking band. You know, if you're gonna call yourself this, you know, if you're gonna call yourself this, call yourself this. But if you're just gonna be a solo performer with hired guns, call yourself a solo performer with hired guns.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and there's, you know, over the year, like I think Yes went through that in the 80s. Like there was like 3 different Yeses touring around. That were just separate guys, you know, from the original Yes. And you know, it's just, you know, even like I think Fogerty got sued over that too one time for sounding too much like CCR. It's just bizarre. Yeah, but like, you know, it does have like, you know, you kind of have to do what you got to do. I totally get why somebody would do that if they can't, you know, if they don't have a band anymore. I get that, but it does make things just a little bit awkward for everybody else involved, especially whoever the past band members were, and the fans, I think, can be kind of like weirded out by all that.
Yeah, it really does. And, you know, even like one of my favorite bands, and, you know, their history is very, very, very contorted. And I was talking about them the other day with another band, but the band of Vice and Men, a hard metal band, love them, been around for a long time, but like none of the band that's there today is the original member. There's no original members left of the band. So it's just been like this, it's just been this rotating thing now. And it's like that, you know, again, if you're a completely different band, you know, at least rename yourself that. But, you know, again, like you were saying, it takes away from the past members and this and that. And there's so much, you know, it takes away from the joy of the music.
Yeah, and I don't know what, like, to your point, I don't know why people don't just rename their band. They're still a good band. It's just a different name. It's more honest. It doesn't like kind of like, you know, doesn't snake anybody into coming to your shows that maybe is going to be surprised when nobody they know is there playing the music.
Yeah. One of the best stories about something like this happened back in the 90s. So the band Matchbox 20, was actually just a band of hired guns to promote what the hell's his name?
Rob Thomas.
Rob Thomas, yes.
Yeah.
So Rob had a band in Orlando because I, knew the band. I saw him all the time. I cannot remember the name of the band, but the record label saw him at a show, loved him, and they were like, "Yeah, we want to sign just Rob." And he just like, "Okay, fine, fuck you guys," and left and went and did Matchbox 20. So they were basically a boy band of rock at the time.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's all it was just how do we promote Rob Thomas, and that and he just left his other band high and dry, and it's like wow, that was that was a huge thing in Orlando at the time because like I said I lived there and I had saw the band perform a bunch of different times and I was like what, that was just insane, and next thing I know they're all over everything and it's like that's just not cool.
Man, I've never been like a super big Matchbox 20 fan. Maybe that's why.
I never was either, but I mean, I just remember hearing about it on the radio because our local radio stations were talking about it, and it was pretty gnarly. It was yeah.
And I guess like when that time period, like the rock and roll kind of music scene with the labels and everything was a little bit different, I guess too. That seems crazy now to do something like that.
Yeah, because at the time it was all about getting on the radio.
Yeah.
And it was you had to fit a niche to get on the radio. Nowadays, it's like, okay, well, if I can't get on terrestrial radio, which who wants to get on terrestrial radio anymore? Okay,
right.
There's Sirius XM, there's Spotify, and you can put out your own album and never have to worry about it because you can just do whatever you want as long as you have the right promotional people behind you. Good PR agents like Earshot and stuff like that. You're going to be able to do well, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. You can do what you want. And I think 20 years removed from that, we're in a much better spot for musicians.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like back then they see, success was like an overnight thing that only a few people could do it, and now it's like, it's people don't make as much, we don't have like as money like multi-millionaires, with records and everything and platinum selling records. But there's so much more of a livable thing that more of us can accomplish now, I think.
Yeah.
We can have like this, I don't know, the middle class musician or artist or whatever is like a big term that used to get thrown around. And I think that's probably still the future where, we can all, make a living kind of doing our own thing and having like a more, niche sort of group of fans as opposed to trying to be like, Rob Thomas or somebody that's like, I would never now. It seems like something that could happen 20 years ago for sure. But like, I can't even see somebody coming to just me and trying to take me as opposed to the whole band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would never happen now. It doesn't seem right.
It definitely wouldn't. And especially nowadays, because I think also the whole idea of the one-hit wonder is kind of gone away too. Because, okay, fine. I mean, you might be able to only get a play on Sirius XM, for one song, but then, they're like, okay, fine, fuck you, it didn't really do well, but okay, fine, I'll just go take my shit to Spotify and you can go find them on Spotify. So the whole idea of one hit wonder just doesn't exist anymore either.
Yeah. And thank God, I remember, and I'm sure you do too, like buying albums like in the late 90s, really early 2000s and being like, there's like 8 terrible songs on this record and like 1 or 2 that are good.
Yeah.
And the CD was like $21.99 to buy it, it was like such a waste.
But I feel the same way, like that way today too, because especially with some bands have just put out a full-length album just for the sake of putting out a full-length album, when nowadays it's all about playlists. So, putting out singles or 5-song EPs is kind of the new thing. And, so I mean, every time I've downloaded an album or put it on my playlist on Amazon Music, because I'm an Amazon guy, unless it's like a concept record from like Coheed and Cambria, I'm not digging the whole thing because it's just like, it just feels like they're still just trying to put together 3 or 4 good singles and then put a bunch of songs to surround it. Okay, why don't you put those 3 or 4 singles out just as an EP? It's gonna be better. You're gonna get more plays, and now you're just flooding it with other songs that don't need to be there. Because now you're just gonna it's gonna come up on my thing, on my playlist, and I'm like skip, or I'm gonna thumbs down it, therefore it never comes up again.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, it has shifted to do that. Yeah. And I think, I think it's really smart to do it that way too, the way you're saying, like put 3 or 4 really quality tracks out as like an EP, or I don't know, like if you can afford to do like a 45 or 7-inch or something like that,
Oh
that's
yeah.
cool too, you know.
Yeah,
And
definitely the 7 inches. Oh yeah.
just, and people remember it that way too. It's like quality music. They have a cool physical way to see it and,
Yeah.
collect it.
Especially now, which it has gone back to the 70s mentality of music, where I walk into a Walmart or even a Best Buy, they don't carry CDs anymore. But
No,
I'll
it's
be
crazy.
damned if they don't have fucking vinyls.
Yeah. Yeah. And some like reissue old stuff like that's brand new.
Yeah.
Like they have like Johnny Cash records like shrink wrapped and ready to go.
Yeah. And a lot of these punk bands are doing that exact same thing now. These indie punk bands are putting out these special edition vinyls. It's only available on vinyl or download, and that's it. And I love that because it gives a different piece of it. And I don't collect vinyls, but there's a few that I just had to have, and specifically the Coheed and Cambria ones, like I just mentioned. I love that because it's a piece of that puzzle.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a concept record. Now it's like, okay, now I own an actual concept record. It's different.
Yeah, especially and you seem closer to my age too. There were like we kind of missed the like 70s album craze stuff. Like I never had vinyl growing up.
Yeah, me
like
neither.
we had tapes, and then when CDs kind of came around, that was a thing. But being able to have that now, and I think that the punk rock scene never somehow gave that up. Like when I started, I was playing with some punk bands like 10 years ago or so, and they were the ones that got me into getting vinyl and collecting vinyl, and like all their records were always pressed on vinyl. And I remember thinking no vinyl, nobody buys vinyl, but that's cool that you guys are doing that still. And then all of a sudden it was like everybody saw what they were doing, the DIY scene, and pressing their own vinyl, making their own like even like I used to play with this band, The Connection, who were rooted in punk rock, but really more of like a Stones 60s throwback. And they were making their own vinyl. They were, making their own packaging and sticking labels on everything and doing all that, like way back when it was super expensive still to make vinyl.
Yeah. And nowadays it's not that bad.
No, not at all. For sure. I mean, it costs about the same as CDs did like 20 years ago through disc makers.
Yeah. And I remember my first like tape that I ever bought was "And Justice for All" from Metallica. And I even waited in line. I was 11 or 12 years old, however old I was, when I was 10. I was 10 when Black came out. The Black album came out. I waited in line with my mom getting the Black album at midnight at Sam Goody.
That's awesome.
To get the Black album. But my first CD was like whatever year it came out. The year the Cranberries released "Zombie." That album.
Oh wow.
That was my first CD I ever owned, was the Cranberries, whatever album. I can't remember the name of that album, but that was the first album I ever owned on CD. And I just played "Zombie" over and over and over again on repeat. Because I was like, this is amazing. I don't have to stop and rewind.
You just push back once. Yeah, and if I hit it twice, it goes back to 2 songs back. Like, it's great. Yeah.
My mom would come and
I
be like,
remember
okay,
that.
can you like play another song? I'm like, no, this is fucking great.
Yeah. Yep. I think Green Day Nimrod was the first one that I bought with like my own money, CD or whatever. It was the same deal. Yeah, just playing what was that song? Like "Nice Guys Finish Last," just like over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
And but not rewinding was huge. It was huge.
It was, especially for me, because I learned how to play guitar on by listening to an album. It was Pearl Jam's 10.
Yeah.
So Pearl Jam 10 for me, with Jeremy and Alive and, Even Flow and Black and all this other stuff on that album was just, phenomenal to me. And so learning how to play guitar by ear and myself playing that album on tape was the biggest pain in the ass ever. Rewind.
Yeah.
How's that chord go again? Rewind. How'd that chord go? Rewind. Just, I think I ended up buying, by the time I was done, like, learning the album, I think I had like 4 or 5 different ones because I just wore them out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And like, you'd like tape stuff off the radio and like all that kind of stuff, just like sitting all night by your radio waiting for the song to come on, and you'd miss the first like 4 seconds because of course you'd be going to the bathroom at that moment when the song came on. Just like I'm busting through the door,
Yeah,
slamming the record button.
Kids nowadays will never know that struggle.
No.
or
No.
What's the other one? Like, recording things on a VCR tape or shit like that.
Yeah.
Waiting on Sunday night to record America's Funniest Home Videos with Bob Saget, the original. Oh, we gotta hit record right now because I might fall asleep.
Totally. Yeah, I know. I think it was on Twitter the other day. We were talking. It was a big thread about those, like, were they Memorex or whatever?
Yeah.
VHS like tapes you could tape over, and how I'd try to be like catching Star Wars or something on cable or something, and accidentally like tape over my sister's birthday party or something, just something you weren't supposed to be taping over by accident, or like, her chorus concert or something. I got like, like Vader telling Luke he's his father, taped over that.
Or going to watch a recorded thing that you recorded, from the other day, and put in that tape and go to watch it, and it ends, and next thing you know, you're watching your mom and dad's porno.
Yeah.
You could not hit that button fast enough to stop it. Now, that never happened to me, but it happened in television shows, and I always thought it was funny. I'm like, God, if that ever really, I wonder if that ever really happened.
I'm sure it did. Like, oh, the poor kids who had to deal with that.
Oh my God,
can't even imagine.
Can't even imagine. Just the audacity of some parents to to do that.
I get the cats too.
You're being invaded by a cat. I'm being invaded by a 10-year-old. She does this almost every time. I need to start learning to lock my studio door.
No, or else I'll just bang on it.
I think
you could might have a good assistant or helper eventually.
Yeah, well, I've had her on the show before. I actually did an episode with her because me and her mom are going through a divorce, and so she like invaded my podcast one day just talking about the divorce. But other than that, it's like every time that she's here, she just runs in the here and yells "Hola" really loud, and then dive bombs the show. And I always feel the need to keep it in because it's just hilarious, and people seem to love her.
You can be your own segment. Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten emails saying we need more Izzy.
When I was on his podcast one of the times when I was talking about the divorce, he said, and we were talking about what I wanted to be when I grew up, and someone commented, "Bring Izzy to Mars." Not that she's not wanted here.
Go.
All right.
Yeah, she was talking about how she wanted to be an astronaut, and then she's like, "Take her to Mars." I'm like, and she's like, not that you're not wanted here, but still go to Mars.
Bring Izzy to Mars sounds like a David Bowie B-side or something, like a long last.
That is a great album name. Anyone out there, put that out there. That is a new album name. Bring Izzy to Mars.
Yeah, it sounds like it sounds like yeah. I mean, it just sounds like some lost David Bowie album track or something.
It does. Sounds like something from Labyrinth or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you got the new single out, but now, what's the plan going forward? I mean, are we putting out a whole album attached to this? Are we gonna start touring this? Because now that we can start doing that again, thank God. Yeah. What's the plan going forward with this? Because again, this needs to be heard live because this is fucking pretty gnarly.
Yeah, well, that's our plan. We have a new record that comes out on July 23rd. So we're, hopefully that goes well and stuff. And I think that we've got, just to kind of double down on all the stuff we were talking about before, a lot of the songs are, we've kind of got like a flavor for everybody on the record. You know, we've got like this like kind of Latin jam that gets kind of gnarly towards the end of it and amped up. We got some like metal guitars going on in it, and we've got like, you know, I call it Van Halen song, but people can call it whatever they want. We got that flavor on one track and some actually David Bowie influence too. So I'm hoping that people are, you know, gonna like it and everything, and everybody's flavor from we got like 8 or 9 people that are on the tracks doing you know, horns and backup singers and all that kind of stuff. So I think that people will like it or whatever. But we got a full record coming out, 8 new songs with the 2 that we've released already for singles.
Nice.
And yeah, and touring is definitely in the plans. We're trying to get going for the fall and, you know, see how it goes, but hopefully nothing gets canceled. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I've obviously had this conversation a bunch too, but like I'm just waiting for that first one to happen. You know, I'm not sure which one's the first. I'd have to look at the dates again, but I think like down here in Virginia, we've got, you know, Blue Ridge Fest the same weekend as Incarceration in Kentucky. So I think
cool.
I think those are the first 2, because then I know we got the Fest in Gainesville. We've got Louder Than Life, which is in Kentucky as well. Then we've got Welcome to Rockville. We've got Lollapalooza in Chicago, which is being headlined by the fucking Foo Fighters of all fucking bands too, which is awesome.
Yeah, wow, that's cool.
So there's a lot going on. I'm just waiting for that first one to happen to kind of say, yes, it's going to happen. And I do have some like tickets to some club shows later on in the year, but that's like more towards the fall and actual winter. So I think they're waiting to see how the festivals go until those play out just before club shows come back.
I know. Yeah, one of the guys, Craig, the drummer in the Dirty Gems, plays in a band called Neck Scars, and they're actually like a newer band, kind of like alternative but punk, like punk alternative kind of vibe. But they're waiting. He's kind of like, I think we might do Fest in Gainesville, but we don't know yet. They're kind of like, wait, I don't know if it's the Fest that's on the fence or if they're just on the fence as being included in it.
I mean, the Fest is pretty booked, so I think it's already sold out too. So I'm hoping that one's not on the fence about it, because I've talked to a bunch of bands that are playing it. So I know a lot of bands are looking forward to the Fest.
Right. It must be, maybe they're like an alternate band or something like that. And they're trying to get that on it. Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of good stuff going on, and there's a lot of potential, you know. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. You know, over the last year that we've had this horrific, you know, situation on our hands. A lot of the big bands that are headlining these tours haven't really been there for us. And that not necessarily their fault. You know, it could have been their choice, but at the same time, it's probably management and their label saying, hey, don't put out any new music. We can't tour. We can't make money, blah, blah, blah. Don't do it. So I get that. But the indie bands and the indie labels have kind of taken over for that, and you're seeing them in the top 15. You're seeing them in the top 20. You're seeing them in the top 10 on Spotify and Apple and everything like that for the first time in a long time. And now they're opening for these bands, or they're one of the first. They're the curtain jerkers, as you know, and we say in the entertainment business, the first one out. You know, don't not go see them. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you're gonna pay the $135 for a 4-day fucking concert, see as many of the bands as you can. Don't show up just to see Metallica on Saturday night, or don't just show up at 9 o'clock to see the Foo Fighters at Lollapalooza. See as many of the bands you can. There's 4 stages for a reason. There's 3 stages for a reason. See those bands that have actually been putting out new music, putting out these EPs, staying in front of everything, and, you know, being there for you in this time of loneliness. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have had a lot of new music in the last year.
Yeah, and I think a lot of, you know, at least a lot of my friends and myself included, the last year or so, it ended up like, you know, our lives kind of halted musically in a lot of ways, but our lives halted in every way. So I think a lot of us actually were able to get together and work more a little bit, and, you know, in certain capacities, like my band, you know, a lot of, at least myself and at least one other guy I know, just from talking about stuff, I was like really jaded from playing too much, and just like we play, like I play in cover bands and stuff as like a day job or whatever, and do like, I used to do like dueling piano bars where it's like all requests of songs I really am not pumped, to be playing most of the time. And, like when the pandemic hit the first like 2 months or so, I didn't really play ever. I was just cool. I would play like whatever, like jamming by myself or whatever, but I wasn't going out and doing anything. And I just needed that time to be excited about music again and kind of get over the fact of having to play covers all the time and just like make a living and like pay my rent and all that kind of stuff. And in the meantime, though, after we kind of got over the initial kind of hump of the pandemic and, we were like kind of getting back into the studio, which is our studio, like the basement again, all of a sudden we were like, all of us had all this free time to be together and doing stuff and writing stuff. Like we've been working since the pandemic. We had this record was like 90% done and we couldn't finish it for a while. That was kind of a pain in the ass. But once we got that done, we were able to just kind of get back into the flow of stuff. And we've actually like been writing and recording this whole time for stuff after this record comes out. So it ends up being like, and I know other, bands that we work with and that are on the same label as us have been doing some of the success that you've been talking about. Like Soraya has been on the Billboard charts for like, I don't know, 3 weeks or something like that. And
Oh my God. I love her so much.
Yeah.
Man, I talked to her I talked to her for over an hour and a half. I could have talked to her for even longer, but we both had stuff to do that day. Man, she, like the lead singer of Soraya. If you guys haven't checked them out, check them out. They're back on one of my previous episodes. But oh my God, I'm glad you mentioned them because that chick is a badass, and that is a band to be looking out for in this coming year.
Yeah, they work extremely hard, for sure. Zuzu is like never stopping. She's always like, she is the leader of the band and all that too, but she does like. Well, I know she's got like a team that helps her do it, but she's like the boss lady, that like does all the booking, all the sort of like management stuff. Like I've toured with them before and I've played in their band before, touring as the keyboard player when their keyboard player couldn't do stuff before. So like I know all of them really well. They're really great people and they work harder than a lot of bands that I know.
Yeah.
And
it's like, again, for that exact reason, they're going to be on some of these stages this year, opening up for these bigger bands. Go see them. Go see these bands that you've listened to over the last year. Don't forget about them.
Totally. Yeah. And I don't know if we're going to end up being able to tour with them anytime soon, but it's always like a great time when we get to play shows together. We've done like a whole bunch of runs through the Northeast and stuff before. But yeah, like they always do that big show in Philadelphia. I forget what it's called. It's like some sort of like summer fest thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was happening this year.
Yeah,
I have to check. All I know is that as soon as they get touring again, I'm gonna go see them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I got to play on one of the tracks on their new record. It's really good. It's a great record. Really the one I'm doing is like the ballad or whatever, but they've got some killer tracks on that new one they just put out.
Yeah. And that's so true for just a lot of bands out there that have just put in the work. And some of these bands, put in extra work. They'll be recording in their house. They'll all have like 4 separate recording studios in their house and then send it to each other and then mix it. And then, I don't like this, send it back. And then it took longer. They didn't have to do that. They could have waited till a studio opened up and did it together. No. Yep. They went their extra mile. I'm not saying Soraya did that. I'm just saying a lot of these bands did. To where it took a lot longer than it should have, but they did it for you. They did it for me. They did it for everyone because they felt the need to get their new music out when people needed it the most. I've said this 550,000 times and I'll continue to say it. One of the biggest issues I believe that's hitting this country and the UK and Canada and the whole world, and one of the reasons why we're having so much infighting within our countries and all this other crap, is because entertainment isn't there. Now we've had to be our own forms of entertainment, so we're going to pick on the left. Oh no, we're going to pick on the right. Oh no, we're going to pick on the LGBTQ community. Oh no, we're going to pick on the BLM. We're going to pick it's that's what it's become. We need the music back out there. We need movies back out there. We need comedy. We need opera. We need ballet. We need theater. We need it all back in full force.
Yeah.
Because I think the moment that happens, we're going to see a decline in all this bullshit.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And I've been writing with have like a new kind of songwriting partner we've been doing the kind of I guess I can't really talk too much about it, but it's like the Dirty Gems and me and like kind of like a special guest or whatever. We've been doing kind of like just a little writing project or whatever. But every time that we chat, and it's all through kind of the internet, really, because we all live so far away from each other. And every time we chat, it's like we're always talking about that, what you're just talking about. Like we need to like inject like celebration and hope. And like we have a track we've been working on called Bounce Back, and it's like we just want we want to like inject that, like it's not like a bounce back like it's like you're crawling from the wreckage, but more of like a F you, I'm bouncing back, we got this kind of thing. And it's always like a constant theme going forward with everything we've been doing in the last, like, I don't know, 8 to 10 months or so.
Yeah. And it rings true, especially this month being Mental Health Awareness Month, and then next month being Pride Month. Last year, Pride Month got really overshadowed by BLM and all this other stuff, which rightfully so. I mean, it needed to happen, but at the same time, it got overshadowed. And while all that kind of stuff was happening, Trump's in the White House rolling back protections on the LGBTQ community during Pride Month. But I won't, go there. I'm not going to, bitch about that. But, it's stuff like that that's happened over the last year that we've been kind of blind to. And I think, this month we haven't had much chaos. So we've actually been able to say, okay, it's Mental Health Month and only Mental Health Month. And now next month, hopefully we can say it's Pride Month and only Pride Month. Let's go ahead and focus on, the real issues at hand and start tackling them one by one.
Yeah. And I have seen, it seems like, there's been a lot more awareness on like Mental Health Month this year. And even like in March, I remember I was sort of starting to play a little bit more, like just little kind of one-offs here and there, small sort of things. And March was, like month for Celebrate Women. And I just felt like, that was way more awareness for that month. Like I would say I played, it's not really a joke. I play it like I think pretty well, to be honest with you, and I try really hard to do it anyways. But I play "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman," just like by myself, and I always think it'd be cool for a guy to be singing that, So I would like, just say like, hey, this one goes out to all the women out there. It's it's like this month is for women, and March is like Women's Month or International Women's Month, and I always got like a really great response this year as opposed to like other years in the past.
Yeah. That's awesome. That it's that kind of stuff that we need more of in the world, that type of stuff. And I'm glad that, you're out there doing that kind of stuff, because more people need to be doing it. I mean, stop being an advocate, stop being a supporter, and start being the bus driver for change. Quit being Facebook keyboard warriors and actually get out there and make a difference.
Yeah, totally.
Just shaking somebody's hand sometimes can be the biggest difference maker.
Yeah, we have like up here in Portland, we have a huge Pride parade that goes on every year, and I think last year, it didn't happen, obviously because of everything. So it's like it'll be good to see like all that kind of stuff again, and just really more of the community just kind of coming together face to face. Yeah, and being able to like have human interaction.
It again, it's going to be really important. I mean, now that the storm is kind of over. I mean, we're still dealing with a lot of it, obviously.
Yeah.
But the storm is kind of over, and now we can kind of start pulling back the curtain on the stuff that was kind of overshadowed over the last year because of stupidity. And now we can start saying, okay, this is how we fix the country. This is how we fix each other. This is how we can get back to being neighborly again. Instead of driving by somebody's house at, has a Trump sign still outside that says Trump 2020 and then throwing rocks at him. Or, it's like, come on, guys. Why we got to, first off, why you still have a Trump 2020 thing out there? But then at the same time, why are you throwing rocks or stealing that thing and making it worse?
Yeah.
I've seen TikToks out there that are dedicated to talking shit about the Republicans. But at the same time, the ones that they're dedicating, they're talking shit about are the ones that are dedicating their life to talking shit about Democrats. It's like, it's the same thing. Can we just move on already?
Yeah.
The election's over. And there's nothing we can do about it until 2024.
Yeah.
Can we please? Can we just,
Can we get back to like barbecuing and stuff and just,
exactly.
Like it's really it's really tough because it's like polarizes everybody, but it's like even and for me too, like I'm sure everybody goes through some sort of like thing with this, but you're like you've got friends for sure, or I've got friends, everybody's got friends that for the last like 4-ish years it's been kind of weird, if you're politically a little bit different or whatever from each other. And I feel like I'm sure people that are more probably conservative feel differently about this now than I'm like a pretty liberal guy, but now I'm feeling like, oh, we can all be friends again. Maybe they don't feel that way, but
they definitely don't.
But it just seems like at least for the time being, a little bit of like the storm has settled a little bit, and maybe we can kind of go back to just like being more kind of neighborly with each other and supporting each other in any, ways that are positive anyways,
Yeah, exactly. Just, to quote Rodney King, can't we all just get along?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I'm glad, the state of affairs is starting to look brighter. I mean, it's still a dim fucking light. Don't get me wrong, but
sure.
It's a lot brighter than it used to be, and it's just gonna. I think honestly, and I know I'm an entertainment podcast that does nothing but promote music and mental health awareness and advocacy, but I truly believe that music is the cure-all for this type of stuff. I honestly, truly do, and it's not just to promote your music or promote Counterpunch or promote 12-Foot Ninja, who I just got an email about, which I'm fucking stoked about. So, I mean, I'm not here to do that. I'm here to promote, again, the advocacy of it all. And I think music is that. And that's why I do the show the way I do it. I mean, it's a mental health show where mental health meets music. And we can't have one without the other, in my opinion. And
totally.
We've missed it for the last year. And now that it's coming back, I think we really need to embrace it, because I think that's going to be the winds of change.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think it kind of goes both ways too. I think a lot of artists and myself in general kind of get through some mental stuff by writing about it and writing about, whatever, it is that's going on. Like on our new record, my dad passed away a few years ago, and I've got this song that's like really all about it. But the process of writing it was really, for me, what the therapy was. And now maybe people who have also gone through that can hear it and maybe, identify with it or whatever. But, I can remember every hard time in my life, I've got some sort of music that if I hear that music again, it brings me right back to going through that. But it also brings me back to like getting out of it and why that music helped me get out of it.
Exactly.
It's really, music is such a powerful thing. It's really crazy.
Yeah. I mean, music prevented my suicide attempt, and I'll take that with me forever. And every time I hear that particular song, it's like exactly that. It brings me back to that moment of thinking about driving off that cliff, and then the moment I thought, oh shit, what am I doing? And I have that band to thank for it, and I have that song to thank for it, and I will always remember that. And like that band in particular is a band called Bad Flower, and I've been dying to get them on the show, but they're a big label band and they only want to come on the show and they have new music to promote and stuff like that. But I'm patient. I can do this.
Totally, man. Totally.
Because honestly, I just want to have the band on for 3 minutes and just say thank you, tell them the story, and then say thank you. And if that was it, I would that's all I want to. You know what I'm saying? That's how meaningful it is. I don't care if Josh, the lead singer of Bad Flowers, says nothing else, but you're welcome, man. No problem. That's what it was there for. And that's the end of the interview. I'm good to go.
Oh man, and I think that I mean, I would imagine they would love that too, because like I just don't think that I think that a lot of bands and artists in general a lot of times want something like that to happen, or maybe even like when they write it, it's in a way happening for them in that moment. But like yeah, again, like I remember this, this is like almost 20 years ago now, but I remember when Alter Bridge like first came out and they were a band. I was like listening to their first record all the time, and I was going through some kind of crap at the time, I guess, and was like down about everything. And it was the same thing. Like they had a song, it's called "Find the Real," and I was always like trying to find the real thing or
Such
whatever.
a good tune, man.
Back then, so good, yeah. And just like became this like mantra sort of thing of like that I adopted at the time. And it's just I never really listened to them or to that record anymore, really. But like if it comes on like a playlist, or I think like I have a couple Alter Bridge songs on some stuff like I work out to and everything still today, and when it comes on, yeah, it's just like flashback immediate. But it's not like a flashback like you were saying, like in necessarily like a bad way. It's more of like it brings me to the place, but it also brings me to like the strength of getting out of it.
Yeah,
of getting out of that place. It's a super powerful, and you see it also too with like senior citizens with dementia and stuff like that, and just having music being able to like just come, like they're all of a sudden everybody's with it. And it's bizarre that it could do that, but also not at all. Like of course it can do that.
Yeah. Music, it's such a powerful thing.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it's one of the only things I've been able to kind of keep doing for years and years and years and years without hating it. Eventually, everything else kind of gets sick of. Music is like the one thing that never goes away.
Yeah, I mean, ever since 2018 when I had my suicide attempt, I've always had a deep appreciation for music. Because like I said, I was 10, 11, 12 years old learning how to play guitar on, the ear way, the old fashioned way, listening to Pearl Jam's 10. And so I've always had this love. I mean, I've played in front of crowds of 10,000 people and loved every moment of it. But then I got jaded by the business, early 2000s when, again, everyone was trying to get on the radio. I didn't want that, and the Orlando scene was all about that, and I got out of it, and I haven't been back in it since. But since I've started this show and been doing it this way since 2018, it's brought back a love of music that I knew I had, but now it's deeper than ever. And to have lost it for the last year in the way we have, and not being able to go see shows or interact other than like doing Zoom shows, it's made me want and crave it even more. And I cannot wait to step foot onto a festival grounds or step in a club for the very first time and see the smile and smirk and feel the energy and the aura from that band hitting that fucking first chord, and then seeing them just go, I just can't wait.
Yeah, I'm totally in that same mentality with you. I think the first time I go to a club, and even just if I don't know if I'll be playing there that night or just going to be like a patron or whatever, but I think that it's gonna just be this like emotional wave of just awesomeness. Excuse me, seeing maybe what 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, people in the band doing what they do and being able to kind of vibe off back and forth of each other again.
It's gonna bring tears to my eyes. I can fucking tell you right now, I'm gonna fucking cry. I don't care how metal of a show it is. I am gonna bust out into tears. I don't care. And that's because that's how I feel about it. I mean, it's gonna be that emotional, and I hope other people in that crowd get those goosebumps, their hair standing up on the back of their neck, and just going, yes.
I think it's gonna happen for sure. Like I'm like just people I've seen online talking about it. I'm gonna see people that I forgot even existed. That's kind of and I'm gonna be so happy to see them. Like it's good, like I get asked about sometimes, and this has happened to me lately, where someone's like, "Hey, that guy around town, like, what was that guy's name that does this thing with his guitar or whatever around town, and I've been like, I don't know, man. I know him. I know that guy,
Yeah.
but I just can't, I'll use our person or whoever it is. Like this is somebody I used to see on a weekly basis all the time at the club or at the venues that would just walk around, go to shows and stuff. And it's crazy to me that sense of community has kind of left the building for the last 10 years, or for the last like 10, 12 months or whatever it is.
Yep.
And it sucks, but it's great that it's going to be back.
And it's going to be back stronger than ever.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And like up here in Portland, it's a small town with a big city vibe, I guess you could say. That's kind of the deal with it. So I'm sure that all the bigger cities kind of go through the same thing where, you don't really, it's like that, what is it? Cinderella, I think wrote, you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
You're not wrong at all. Dude, it has been an absolute fucking blast talking to you.
Same, man.
Dude,
same.
this is the type of conversation I enjoy. Just a little bit of everything and all over the place. And, dude, it's been a wild ride, and I really, really enjoyed it. Guys, check out the new single called Still Dirty. It is amazing. The vibe on it is, like I said, it's big band 50s, yet meets 70s, yet meets ska music, and it's horns and, again, I hate to use that cliche term, but it is a cool summer song. Go drink a White Claw on the beach, and vibe out to the song. And then July 23rd, the album drops, which sounds like it's going to be an eclectic mix of everything. So it's got something for everybody on there.
Sure.
Dude, my hat's off. Well, I'm not wearing a hat, but my hat's off to you. Because, you did something pretty awesome, and, I cannot wait to hear it, and I hope to get to be able to see it live. And it'd be even better if I get to see you live with Soraya. That'd be cool as shit.
That'd be rad.
But either way, if when you come down to the Mid-Atlantic area, or Northeast, whatever you want to call us, I'm not sure. I don't consider us the South. Virginia's not the South, or at least Northern Virginia is not the South. But
it's like Middle East or something. Nope, that's not it.
Nope. I think the proper term is Mid-Atlantic. Mid-Atlantic. Us Maryland, DC, Delaware. Yeah. But
that's it.
We'll go with that. Mid-Atlantic. But dude, thanks a lot, man. I really do appreciate it. It's been a fucking blast talking to you today. And again, everyone go check out that information on them. All their links are down below. Check it out. Listen to it. You will not regret it.
Right on. Yeah, and Derek, thanks for having me, man, and appreciate the podcast and everything you're doing and about. And I think, best of luck moving forward to you as well. I think it's a great thing you're doing.
I appreciate it, man. But for everybody else, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Memorial Day. I will be back live on Monday night. So come back then and enjoy some more new music and everything else like that. But until then, enjoy your weekend with your family. Grill out. Do whatever you got to do. But make sure you always stay happy, stay healthy, and stay fucking heavy. We'll see you guys later. Peace.